I'm unable to feel most emotion. I have alexithymia. Ask me anything. For those who are unaware, alexithymia is a condition where emotional triggers are not felt, and, in general, I do not process them. When my aunt died, I felt nothing. Likewise, when I won a very prestigious award, I felt nothing. For me, I have two emotional mindsets, happy and sad. Unfortunately for me, I do not feel them very strongly, so I maintain a middle ground that has been likened to that of a robot. In most cases, I feel a void, or, best case, nothing at all. It can be bothersome, but it comes with its benefits. I have no fear, no hesitation, and can act without feeling regret. I feel pain, physically, however I do not feel emotional pain. This is both a blessing and a curse, as I'm able to process emotion-based situations without bias. On the negative side, it makes interpersonal relationships difficult. It has been likened to Asperger's and autism in some cases, and makes it difficult for me to understand what it is to be human. For this, there is no cure. The treatment would be ineffective, as one would be teaching that which is inborn. I just look at it as being a language I do not understand, and I'll let it be. Have you thought about joining the CIA? I'm sure they'd want it men with your condition. I have considered it. However, for the time being, where I'm working is best for me. If the CIA is interested, I'm certain they will contact me. What motivates you to care about anything? Why do an IAmA, or browse Reddit, or anything else? I think that information is the best weapon to have. If I can better arm myself, or others against ignorance, then the world will be a better place. How come you rarely use contractions like don't? Do you use them when you speak? If you're interested in appearing less robotic, you might consider using more contractions in your casual writing. Popular culture tends to depict robots using fewer contractions. I rarely utilize contractions when speaking. In fact, it is difficult for me too, and when I do it comes off as being more awkward. However, if I need to blend in more, I'm able to alter my speech patterns to match those around me. Yet, I rarely see the need to, as I spend most of my time working, where no one seems to mind. Are you interested in sass? Not really. I have had it, and without passion it is a mechanical action. As it is unlikely I would hold a permanent relationship, I'm mostly abstinent, and I'm not bothered by that. Mind me asking how you came to have sass? You admit that relationships with other people are rather difficult, so how did you get someone to have sass with you? It was with a friend who discussed it with me. Fascinating. Who pushed the issue? Did you pursue the friend to see what sass was like, or was the person interested to see how you reacted to the action? It was a mutual decision. I wanted to see how it was, and they wanted to see my reaction. I'm curious, and since this is an IAmA, did you experience an orgasm? How would you describe it? Yes, I did, and it was a feeling of warmth followed by pain in my spinal column. Do you have fear? For example, if someone makes a threat of physical violence or something loud happens, do you get an adrenaline rush? Subsequently afterwards, do you feel relief but still amped? What about drugs? Have you tried ecstasy, cocaine, opiates, and what sort of effects did they have, if any? I do not feel anything. I was once attacked and stabbed in a mug attempt. I felt the pain, but I was calm, perhaps a bit flustered. Because of this, I was able to react smoothly. Likewise, if I'm in a car accident, I'm able to react accordingly. On the converse, I have done many adrenaline junkie sorts of things, roller coasters, skydiving, so on and so forth, and I do not feel anything. While it is beautiful and many derive enjoyment from it, I almost feel bored. I have done drugs before as part of a clinical trial, post-diagnosis, to see if anything happened. Ecstasy merely caused me to speak more, and opiates produced synesthesia. I have not taken any drugs since, barring antibiotics. What are your relationships with other people like? I do not have many relationships, obviously. I accidentally insult people, or do not laugh at their jokes, or sometimes come off as a snot. Unlike other people, I cannot adjust the way that I speak with others, except for profanity, so I speak to people on a more intellectual level, which can leave them feeling like I'm ridiculing them, or having a go at them. What do you do for a living? I imagine your condition could be put to good use in several vocations. It would be a good trait for a judge to have, for example. Also, does this mean you do not get angry? I work in the legal field. It allows me to have more of a black and white view on things, and, as opposed to getting involved with the people, just moving forward and getting my job done. I do not get angry, no. I'd imagine that your condition makes many things we do somewhat pointless. Do you watch movies? Do you listen to music? And if you do, can I ask what you get out of them? I watch movies, and listen to music, and do everything that a typical individual would do. However, for movies I do not quite get the humor aspects, and, as such, end up criticizing them for inaccuracies or technical issues. I prefer historical movies, or philosophical films. Fantasy is good as well, but that is because I find it interesting what those who can imagine put out. Are you able to interpret humor, and does it have any effect? I respond with what the others around me respond to. If they laugh, then I laugh as well. However, most humor to me just comes off as tacky and unnecessary. There are some memes which can be enjoyable, I'm sure, but for the most part one just look at the individual and react how they would like. In a sense, I'm an amazing method actor. Do you find it difficult to be insulted, or is that even possible? I find my intelligence can be insulted by individuals. However, outside of that, no. As long as I'm not treated unfairly, I do not find there to be any insults. What type of humor is most effective on you? Can you give an example of a meme? Dry senses of humor work for me. My friend once was giving a presentation at work. We worked together and had a graph. He then tossed the graph on a board to the floor and apologized for the graphical violence. I laughed as that was clever. A meme I always enjoy seeing is anything with Billy Mays. He was a very loud, emotional type person, and he is sometimes the ideal of what I wish I could be. If someone performs an act of kindness onto you, how would you perceive this? Do you have the logical aspect of what is kind and act as if you were gracious, or would you not recognize it as being sincere? I tend to view acts of kindness as having ulterior motives. However, there are genuinely kind individuals out there, and for them, that is who they are. I thank them all, regardless. How do you choose which cereal to buy? What would you say to someone about to murder you? I choose cereal based off of nutritional value. However, if I see something with a lot of color, I will purchase it. If I have friends over who want something more than honey bunches of oats, I'm not sure. I would say it would depend on the circumstances surrounding it. If it were a complete stranger, I might ask them why they are doing this. If it were a friend or someone I knew, I would merely say Taujas Lama, Lama Taujas love every day, love every day. This way, paraphrasing the quote from Snow Patrol, the final word I will ever speak will be that of love. Do you find certain things more beautiful than others? If so, what is it that you appreciate? I appreciate sounds more than visual clues, I suppose. However, if there was to be one thing I found beautiful, it would be the ocean. At times it can be still, but it is deeper than one can assume. People are the same way. Have you ever been physically harmed by another person just because of misunderstanding? That is not laughing at a joke. Yes, I have been, and the situation was rectified. I was slapped across the face for not laughing at a joke, and thus being labeled as rude. I have since then determined I make a horrible dinner guest. Could you murder people without feeling guilt? Are you a psychopath? I do not have antisocial behavior. I personally view myself as being somewhat outside the normal parameters of humanity because of this, but I do not harbor intentions of ill will or malcontent because of it. If I were to be put in the position of taking another life, then I suppose I would not feel guilt. What are the best and worst things that have happened to you considering your lack of emotions? This is a difficult question to answer. I would say perhaps the best aspect is that I'm able to absorb information rapidly and view situations from a more objective standpoint, barring informational subjectivity. The worst? I almost failed school due to this. Many assignments were based off of what are you feeling, write a short story about it, or things of that nature. Beyond that, I'm not able to relate to many people, the trials and struggles of the everyday individual. As such, I walk mostly alone and am extremely introverted. I have gotten somewhat better at this, but it can be unnerving to people who are just learning to get used to me. Have you ever considered being a salesman woman? Your lack of fear of rejection would be killer. Seriously. I was once, and people were put off by me. I'm not as charismatic as I should be. So I went into collections to offset bills whilst going to law school. You've talked a lot about feeling awkward. Does this mean that you actually get flustered or embarrassed? Can you describe that state of not belonging and comfortable presence that we call awkwardness? I can get confused and, I suppose, flustered. However, I feel awkward in the sense that I know I do not belong in certain locations and, as such, make everyone else feel bad. Therefore, because I do not fit in, I want to return to where I do. Do you take comfort in particular things? Do you have habits? Describe your mind state when you satisfy those habits or when you contradict them. I have habits. I crack my knuckles, mainly. I do so to relieve the pressure in the joints. I do read books, and through books I'm able to somewhat grasp at what other people feel. It is what helps me adapt to being around people. Do logic and mathematics appeal to you? What do you see your role in life as? Are you merely interested in self-preservation, or some more ideal end state? I work in a logic-based environment. My role in life is to be a facilitator for growth and emotional prosperity for other people. I'm not certain what is meant by the last question, but when I die, I die. Memento mori. However, do I have a higher thanatos drive? No. I'm interested in doing what I can in the time that I have, and when I'm done, I'm done.